Hey, RetconRaider here. Today's video is dedicated to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible. With special thanks to Revenant, a nerd in war paint, Antonio Hernandez, Ice Storm Shadow, Matthew Holmquist, Nathan Welch Jr., and Valenrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, let's get started. And welcome back to the Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous beta, as we settle into our first official quest hub and get to know the numerous NPCs who are camped out here. Now, fair warning, this is going to be a very talky episode, and I know some people don't like that, but I feel like it's a necessary evil to really get into the writing in the game because I think it's exceptional. That aside, we've got about a dozen people to talk to, and I did do a dry run and trimmed out the ones that I feel we can absolutely skip, like the scroll vendor or the guy who makes custom party members for you, since we'll be using the pre-made CNPCs. But otherwise, just about everyone here provides map locations, quests, or just really interesting world lore, so I don't want to skimp on it. Let's get to it. Hey, wait. Mind if I bend your ear about something? Anevia is outside your door, leaning casually against a shelf. So here's the first and most important thing. Beth gave you a crucial mission. I get that. And I know you'll get the job done. I've seen you in action. But here's the rub. By sending you out on an errand, we're weakening our defenses here. If they come at us while you're gone, I don't know if we'll be able to fight them off. Do you want me to stay here and guard the tavern? You what? No, your task is far too important. You can't just hold up here all cozy-like, waiting for the demons to knock on the door. We need to take the fight to them. But if those freaks try to make a move on this place, Beth will send a runner to get you. If that happens, you leg it back here, alright? Because if you don't, you'll be coming back to an ash pile. Got it? When do you think the demons will attack next? Your guess is as good as mine. It might not be here. They could attack the whole damn city. Those vermin know they've lost the upper hand, and that we're going to push back hard. If things kick off here, you should know, after they attack, some things could be changed beyond recognition. So if you've got any business that needs taking care of, you'd better do it soon. And there it is, our not-so-subtle warning that we are on a soft time limit. I believe overall they give you as much time as you want to explore the entire city, but certain key events will expire over time, so you don't want to take too long to get to the important stuff. You just have to weigh your priorities. We'll have to keep that in mind once we get out there. Everything seems clear so far. What else do you wish to discuss? So, the rift that Dan Beetle left with its scythe? Yeah, well, it cut the city in two, and it's kind of difficult to get across. My scouts tell me there's a halfway decent place to set up a crossing in Market Square. Not that any of them tried it to make sure. But if you've got a mind to go across, and I think you're going to have to eventually, you might want to give the square a once-over. Thank you for the warning. See you later. Later. Watch yourself out there. Okay, so that gives us two main missions. We have to find our way across that chasm, and we have to be ready for when the Defender's Heart is eventually attacked. Let's see what Staunton has for us. The dwarf resembles an abandoned citadel, one whose high, crumbling walls are still holding fast, but whose empty, lightless windows make it clear that all inside is dead. Oh, it's you. Good work back there in the Grey Garrison. Name's Staunton Vhane, if you've heard rumors about me. His face, which looks like it has never known anything as carefree as a smile, grimaces. Just so you know, everything people say about me, it's true. What do people say about you? They say I'm a traitor, as bad as Arilu Vorlesh, that I'm a disgrace even among the ranks of the condemned, that Queen Galfrey should never have spared me, that I belong on the gallows. Why do they hate you so much? You really don't know? Staunton gives you a long, morose look, then sighs. I'm the reason why the Crusade forces are holed up in fortresses on the edge of the world wound, instead of bringing the fight to the demons. We used to have a foothold in the wound, the mighty, unassailable city of Dresden. We used to have it until it fell. And all because of my stupidity. I gave the enemy our main citadel. I was tried. They wanted to execute me, and rightly so. But the Queen intervened. She said that I should live and fight in order to undo what I had done. So that's how I live. Decade after decade, fighting in the condemned. The dwarf shrugs. As you can see, I have fixed nothing, and I have earned no one's forgiveness. Are you going to spit in my face too? It wouldn't surprise me. Well, that's a lot to take in. I hope you earn forgiveness, for everyone's sake. Thank you. From the depths of my soul, I thank you. But I haven't had hope for a long, long time. A whole city fell because of you? How is that possible? What do you mean, how? The knight glares at you from beneath his furrowed brows. If you don't trust the word of a condemned, go ask somebody else. Like my little brother, Joran. And if you still don't believe it, what's it to me? But if you're about to ask me to recount the story of my disgrace for the 1000th time, don't. So, no friends, huh? Can't imagine why. I couldn't have survived this long if I was completely alone. Joran, my little brother, he keeps me going. He's never abandoned me. Everyone else shies away from me like they might catch what I've got. Even fighters in the condemned console themselves by thinking, I got stripped of me rank, but at least I'm not Staunton. Commander Tirabade seems to be the only person in the whole army who remembers that I'm a soldier and not a drudge. She has no qualms about taking me into battle. She's had some mud flung at her in the past, or so I hear. That's why she tries to keep an open mind about people. It's no surprise that she's the only one to hold on to her sense of reason in this farce. So many years in the condemned. Surely you have paid your penance by now. That's not up to me to decide. My life is in the Queen's hands. He falls silent for a moment, and then, in a trembling voice, he adds, The condemned isn't the worst part. All these years I have prayed to Torag for forgiveness. Countless times I've gone to his priest. Countless times I've kneeled before his altar. If only the father of dwarven kind would answer my prayers just once. Not to restore what I've lost, but just to tell me that I am still one of his children. But it seems he doesn't give a damn about me. What can I expect from mere mortals when my own god doesn't think I deserve redemption? I need to talk to the elf who calls himself the storyteller. Do you know where I can find him? The storyteller? Staunton strokes his beard in thought. A strange old fellow, that one. He used to sit with me for hours asking about all sorts of things. He never offered judgment or comfort. He just listened. At first, I wanted him and his questions as far away from me as possible. But later, I realized that talking to him did ease my burden a little. I hope he is alive and well. He's completely blind and feeble, too, so if he's alone in the city... well, you probably know what that means. I do know one place he might be. Look for him in the Black Wing. It's a library. Here, I'll show you where it is on the map. I don't know what use a library is to a blind elf, but he loved the place. He would sit there day and night. Thank you, Staunton. I have to go. Go on, then. Maybe we'll see each other again. Alright, main quest updated, new location marked on our map. Let's hit the bar. Camellia looks you over pensively, toying with the snake-shaped bone amulet that dangles from her pale neck. Noticing your glance, she flashes you a cold, barely there smile. Greetings. It seems for a moment that the girl wants to say something else, but the pause grows too long, and she slips back into cautious silence. Your amulet is quite unusual. Where did you get it? Ah, my little trinket. It's so nice of you to notice. But I assure you, this amulet is nothing but a bauble. Can a lady not be drawn to beautiful, useless things? Fair enough. So, tell me about yourself. You want to know more about me than you already do? Why? Camellia arches a dainty brow. I talk to the spirits of this tormented land, and they guide me in battle. I'll help you fight the demons, and I swear that you can rely on me in this matter. Isn't that sufficient? Where did you learn to wield a rapier so well? I had good teachers. Although they don't get all the credit, I am a most diligent student. Camellia licks her parched lips. Anyway, as much as I enjoy our delightful conversations, the spirits are calling me, and I must respond. Please, excuse me. Camellia turns away, watching you out of the corner of her eye. Huh. Well, I can certainly take a hint. Camellia is a woman of many mysteries. Horgus? 1,000 gold coins for you, just as promised. You helped me get back to the surface, and I duly paid you for escorting me. Horgus Gwerm always keeps his word. Now, speaking of our future cooperation... Horgus looks at you with unvarnished disapproval, his arms folded across his chest, his foot tapping impatiently. I have a job that would be perfect for someone like you. Naturally, I'll pay generously for your services. What do you mean, a job for someone like me? For an adventurer ready to sell their soul for booze and then lie down drunk in the gutter? Or do you think you're somehow different? A traveling knight, perhaps? Noble of heart, but without a coin to your name? Horgus sizes you up critically, then sighs and shrugs. You seem a reliable enough ally to me, and you did get me out of those mongrel caves. So why should I care what you do with my money once you've got it? Horgus seems like one of those people who think the entire world owes them something. However, you hear notes of hysteria beneath his smug arrogance. It's as though he's really quite nervous, but taking great pains to conceal it. Interesting. Noble birth doesn't give you the right to behave badly. I would ask that you refrain from such statements in the future. Horgus puts his hands on his hips. Oh, really? How impudent! No one dares tell Horgus Gwerm how to address the rabble. So what does this job involve? You shall be my bodyguard. You see, I have good reason to return to my mansion here in Kenabres. I still have... Well, it doesn't matter, it's none of your business. My mansion is a breathtaking building with a large garden in the wealthy part of the city. Even before the demons attacked, every thief and fraudster in the city had tried to get inside, one way or another. I shudder to imagine the state it's in now. I have little hope that my guards were able to hold the mansion during the attack, and I expect that the servants fled when they saw the demons. Only Abadar knows what's happened there since. Therefore, I would ask that you meet me at my mansion and guard me there until I complete my business. I already asked the local paladins for help, but they've no desire to set foot outside this tavern. Damn cowards and traitors. That's what they are. Also, please do take Camellia with you. I trust that girl more than the rest of your gang. She is of noble birth, after all. I have a lot of important work around the city, Gwerm. What kind of reward are we talking about? 1,000 gold coins, Horgus replies without hesitation. Okay, I'm still not entirely sure how to read this guy, but he does seem decent, but again, with secrets. Everyone seems to have their secrets. However, we are 40 experience points from hitting level 3, so we're going to go for the diplomacy check. More for the XP than the actual coin. Double the reward and I'll think about it. Ha! Yeah, right. For that kind of money, I could hire Queen Galfrey herself to guard me. 1,000 is my final offer. Fair enough. Deal. Marvelous. Most excellent. Horgus's face relaxes, smoothing a few of the tense lines. I'll proceed to my mansion at once and wait for you there. Meanwhile, you needn't worry. I know the city like the back of my hand. But do hurry, unless you want me to lower your reward. Oh, and look at that. Just talking to Gwerm gave us the XP to hit level 3. Wow, I did not actually prepare for this. Yeah, let's hold off on that for now. I'll take a look at our options between episodes, and we'll take care of the level ups next time. A strange figure towers over the bar. A huge, ungainly man with skin so milky white that his blue veins are visible even from a distance. His bald head is equal parts lumpy and pitted, and blood-filled eyes stare impassively out at you from beneath his pale brows. The glass in the albino's large, clumsy hands looks dangerously delicate, as if one twitch of those calloused fingers would be enough to crush it. A gold medallion engraved with a tankard gleams around his neck. What'll it be? Who are you? The albino slowly takes your measure with his red eyes, and finally, with a gentle sigh, says, Gemill Hokks, vampire. Are you really a vampire? Gemill gives you a long look of reproach, and then grudgingly answers, No. How did you end up in the Crusader City? How did anyone end up here? How did you, or them? With a huge hand, the tavern keeper gestures at the ragtag group assembled in the room. The world is big, but still there isn't a place for everyone. People who no longer have a life anywhere else, they end up here. Any news in the city? The albino looks around. There are demons everywhere. And you showed up. Are there any places in the city worth visiting? If you mean places that normal people usually stay well away from, then there are plenty. Like the Bataxian wine cellar. Gemill pauses for effect, like the name of the place alone should make you quiver in fear. It once belonged to a Bataxian trading house. Then King Iravetti came to power in Patax, and property started changing hands. Soon after, the seller's shop assistant was found in a ditch. Not all of him, mind, just his head. Numerian gangsters had taken possession of the place. They wanted to sell something stronger than wine on the street, and they ended up on the gallows. Then King Iravetti's number was up, so now the store stands empty and unclaimed. People say that a headless ghost wanders the place at night, moaning ghoulishly. Ooh. Thank you for that, Gemill. After coming to the end of this story, unusually long by his standards, the tavern keeper takes a swig from his tankard. Just don't ask me how he makes any noise with no head. I wasn't there. I just tell it like I heard it. I see you're not one for talking. Gemill gives you a long, mournful look, and says nothing. Yeah, that seems about right. Show me what you have. Alright, so let's have a look at the highlights here. Dark Omen. Magic Ring grants Ray of Enfeeblement, Scare, Ray of Exhaustion, Fear, and Waves of Fatigue as spell-like abilities. No, they require spell slots as normal. Interesting. Prohibitively expensive, so I think we can just ignore that. And then Gloves of the Neophyte. +1 damage per die on cantrips and first-level spells. Priced pretty reasonably, too. That is definitely worth consideration if and when we find a proper spell slinger. No point in buying it now, but I will mark that down in my notes. Dark Veil. Belt item, I believe. Once per day, you may use this item to grant your party total concealment against ranged attacks for 1 minute. Wow. Incredibly potent, but also impossibly expensive. I don't think we can actually make that much money during Act 1. So, we'll just ignore that. We'll go ahead and grab that recipe. I'm not sure they've actually fixed cooking yet, but I might dabble with it in the future. Ooh, and a bag of holding. We will definitely take that. Nothing else of note, so let's go ahead and shuffle all of our vendor trash into the barter window. See what kind of numbers we're working with here. And now, let's go ahead and trim down the number of masterworks we've got. Obviously, we want to hold on to some of this stuff just in case we need it, but we definitely don't need the pole arms, the two-handed weapons, the non-masterwork cold iron. What else? The exotic weapons can go. Oh, and also worth noting, just talking to a vendor has ID'd all of the unidentified magic gear in our inventory, like this Crypt Raider's armor. +1 scale mail that grants an additional +2 AC against undead. Aside from that, we've also got Flow of Water. That's the ring we picked up from that water elemental. That grants +1 to savings throws versus cold spells, and makes your own cold spells slightly more potent. That'll go to whatever primary caster we end up picking up. Though obviously for the moment, we've got it on Creed just for the savings throw bonus. Not sure it'll actually come up, but it certainly can't hurt. Oh, we also swapped him off to a Heavy Mace of Fire. That is the unidentified mace we pulled off of Hosilla's body. Not too shabby. Lann's rocking the bracers of armor we pulled out of the tunnels. There's that snake skull amulet on Camellia. And we can't actually remove that because it's her shaman focus. So that means she cannot use normal neck slot items. Not a huge deal, but something to keep in mind. And we put Radiance on Sela. It is not magical at the moment, but it is masterwork and cold iron, and it has a unique appearance. For the most part, I really just wanted to make sure we didn't accidentally sell it. And we've got an exit to the basement. We'll want to check that out a bit later. A young man in well-worn traveling clothes and a simple wooden symbol of Erastil on his chest is efficiently cutting a linen robe into strips to use as bandages. Despite his visible exhaustion, he works with zeal, singing some tune about red braids and ripe sheaves of wheat under his breath. He raises his warm, chestnut-colored eyes to you. Are you one of the Crusaders? Thank you for defending those of us whose talents lie off the battlefield. I'm Jernaugh, servant of Erastil. Pleased to meet you. What are you doing? I only took my holy orders recently, so my god has only bestowed a little of his power upon me as yet. I'm sorry to say that the number of wounded fighters in this tavern is far beyond my power to heal. But there's a reason people say, have faith in the gods, but look to yourself first. I may not be able to help the wounded with magic, but I can at least cut up bandages. Are you from around here? No, I was just passing through Kenabres. I was sailing down the old man of yours, the Great Salin River, to a village by the name of Chilly Creek. I happened to land in the city on the eve of the festival, and I'm ashamed to say I decided to stay for a day to enjoy myself. But I ended up staying in the city longer than I'd bargained for. Chilly Creek? Where is that? It's a small fishing village. It's not even marked on some maps. But people do live there. What they don't have is a priest. They have no one to heal their wounds, no one to offer prayers for a good catch, no one to give their dead a dignified burial, and the world wound is a stone's throw away. So I'll be setting sail for Chilly Creek to serve my god and my people. Once we've held Kenabres, I'll be going there. If by the grace of the good gods we all survive this, you should come and visit me sometime. You'll find the village here on the bank of the river. The priest marks Chilly Creek on your map. I feel like you might be getting a bit ahead of yourself, Jernaugh, but, I admire that optimism. You know, I could use the help of a cleric. Jernaugh makes a helpless gesture. Erastil knows I'd be glad to help you, but it's no use. My spells are depleted, and I have no training in potions or scrolls. See this robe I'm cutting up for bandages? It's the second to last one. Fair enough. I have to go. May Erastil watch over you. Yeah, well, we'll have to hope that's enough. Would have been nice to have a dedicated healer, though. Let's have a quick chat with Anevia, see if she has anything new to say. Anevia, in her muted colors, blends almost perfectly into the background. She appears relaxed, but her seemingly unfocused eyes are taking in everything around her, tracking and filtering potential threats. The only tell is the way she drums her fingers on her hip near her weapon sheath. She shows no signs of her injuries, and confidently leans on her previously broken leg. She pretends to have just noticed you, even though she watched you approach from afar. Oh, hey! See how they patched me up? Now I can run, jump, or dance a jig if I feel like it. Are there any suspicious places in the city that I should pay attention to? There were a couple of spots I wanted to check out, but I didn't have time. If there really is a den of cultists there, it would be good if you could swoop in there and bust some heads. You don't even need a search warrant. Anevia shoots you a crooked smile. First one is the Silken Thread. It's a funny little tailor shop that doesn't take any orders and never buys any fabric, but they always seem oh so busy. They're busy with something in there all right, but sewing it ain't. Second one is an alchemy shop, Topaz Solutions, and they trade in everything, not just healing potions. Judging by the ingredients they've been buying up on the black market, there's something fishy about the alchemical rituals going down in that place. Tell me about yourself. The girl shrugs with a lazy smile. I'd be happy to, but there's kinda nothing to tell. What's so interesting about me? Well, where are you from? Nowhere. I was blown in by the wind and found in a cabbage patch. The girl stops short. Sorry, that's an old habit of mine. I don't like blabbing about my past, but you saved my skin, so I guess I kind of owe it to you not to clown around, right? I'm from Nidal, and I wouldn't wish my homeland on my worst enemy. You've heard of the place, I'm sure. Ruled by monsters that aren't alive nor dead, and the official religion is the cult of Zon Kuthon. I grew up in a slum, like a weed between the cobblestones. I didn't have a dad, but I had a lot of aunts and uncles, my mom's cronies. No prize for guessing the kind of business she was involved in. They gave me a set of lockpicks as soon as I could hold a spoon, and while other kids were picking their noses, I was picking pockets. When I was 12, the monks of the Silent Shroud came for us. Creepy guys with their mouths sewn shut. They're the guards in Nizrock. Mom gave me to her friends, and we hid in a secret temple of Desna. I never saw my mom again. I laid low in the temple for the next few years, kept my head down. I washed floors, fetched water, listened to sermons. Funny thing, after a while, I started liking Desna's teachings. But as soon as I was old enough, I was out of there. I left Nidal and got as far away as I could. Quite a ragtag group we've got here, from nobles to street thieves. You got that right. Only the best for you. What do you do when the knights and the nobles fail to save the world? The lowlives are your only hope. How did you meet Irabeth? I was bumming around Timon a while back, doing this and that. Desnan Temple sometimes gave me odd jobs. You know, sometimes they need people with skills like mine. On the surface, it was fine, I guess. After Nidal, the freedom of the River Kingdoms should have seemed like heaven, my chance to sit back and enjoy life. But I wasn't happy. There just wasn't any joy in my new life. I was all alone. No one cared about me, and I didn't care about anybody either. I struggled to find a reason to drag myself out of bed every morning. Tying a stone around my neck and jumping into the nearest river started to look pretty appealing. One day, I was hired to follow some fellows who the local authorities suspected were Razmiran spies. I was stupid. I made a rookie mistake, and they caught me. It's like my body had already decided to do what my mind had been fighting, to finally put me out of my misery. Get someone else to kill me, since I didn't have the guts to do it myself. They grabbed me. I thought they'd gut me on the spot, but instead they hogtied me and dragged me off. And just like an animal going to the slaughter, my only thought was, let's get this over with. They brought me to their stinking cave, threw me on their altar, and I realized who it was. Kuthites, from Nidal. They'd tracked me down after all those years. But I didn't care anymore. Wouldn't even have cared if they'd eaten me or whatever. We all gotta go sometime, right? So I was lying there, staring at those knives pointed at me, when fate rolled the dice and I hit the jackpot. Irabeth. There she was, storming into the cave. Picture it. I'm lying on an altar with all these knife-wielding maniacs around me, and suddenly Irabeth storms in. I thought it was Iomedae herself, fierce in her shining armor with her gleaming sword raised. She made quick work of those scumbags, chopped them up just like that. I didn't even have time to blink. She untied me, and then the girl's face lights up as she chuckles. She looked through the papers they had on the table, and she started swearing like a sailor. So much for Iomedae. So, how did you and Irabeth end up in Kenabres? After almost becoming a human sacrifice, I knew I never wanted to leave Irabeth's side. Desna knows I fell for her instantly, and I fell hard. My misery was gone, and when Irabeth showed me what was in those papers, proof that the cultist had a nest in her home city, well, I offered to help without a second thought. Anevia smiles warmly. She must have figured I couldn't wait to get my revenge on the cultists. But I didn't give a damn about them. It was her. I'd go anywhere with her, even on a crusade, or into the jaws of a dragon. But I took to life in Kenabres like a duck to water. I used to be an outcast wherever I went, but half of the Crusaders are the same. After all, who'd volunteer to tangle with demons on the edge of the abyss? You gotta be either a goody two-shoes with too much honor and free time, or a misfit with no life out in the normal world with normal people. People come here to run away from their debts, their past, from themselves. So I fit right in. What is it like, living with Irabeth? It's like living. Without her, I wouldn't be. Seriously. If I were alone, I'd definitely be gone by now. Sure, sometimes we argue, can't deny that. Sometimes we bang our fists on the table and yell so loud that the walls shake. But that's all about order business. But at home... Well, I'll give you an example. I've kind of always wanted to move out of that broom closet we call a house and into something cozier. It ain't like they take a vow of poverty at the Eagle Watch. But every month, somehow, most of our spare money is spent on Crusader business. Sure, I get mad about it, but... Anevia makes a helpless gesture. It's a part of why I love her so much. You know, Irabeth has that thing that matters most for a person. A purpose in life. She's always got a reason for whatever she's doing. Her whole life is a crusade. And I just drift around like a leaf in the wind until Desna brought us together. And now she's the meaning of my life. So it really makes no difference if we live in a mansion or under a bush. Thank you for your answers. Thanks for asking. Telling you all this kind of made me feel better. What are your responsibilities in the Eagle Watch? Anevia smiles evasively. Nothing official. I'm not even a knight, you know. I just hang around. You sure you want to know the details? Catching traitors, spies, and cultists is no walk in the park. It's a delicate job. You can't always do it all within the letter of the law. What if we surprise some suspicious blighter with an official search? Everyone will know about it before long, starting with their cronies. Then again, sneaking into people's houses at night ain't exactly legal. Crusaders can't be doing stuff like that, can they? Well, I'm not exactly a knight. The girl trails off. Yeah, I think we get the idea. I guess we'd better get back to it. All right, you watch yourself now. I like her. Also, I think we are moving into the home stretch here. Just 3 more people. Lann greets you with a nod. Here for a chat, Commander? I've been waiting for you to come and see what strange beast you've taken into your party. What do you think of life on the surface? It must be very different from life underground. Of course, as far as living conditions, the surface is definitely a better place to be. It's easier to get good food and water, not to mention build a house, and even grow a few things. In older, well-established settlements, you don't have to deal with anything scarier than rats, or maybe foxes stealing chickens. As for the kind of lives you have, I heard a story about demon worshippers abducting a whole family and sacrificing them one by one while the others watched. But there were some brave Crusader knights nearby, and they killed the villains and saved everyone. And I heard another story. A young blacksmith lost his arm in a fire, couldn't work to feed his wife and baby. They tried their luck and lived from hand to mouth, but they were still destitute. In the end, the desperate blacksmith robbed a trader one night on the road. But there were some brave Crusader knights nearby, and they caught the robber and threw him in prison. Not long after, his wife smothered their baby and hanged herself. Oh wow, that got dark quick. Up here, the same person can proudly say he's protecting the innocent from demons, and then look the other way while the same innocent starves because they were born into a poor family. Queen Galfrey prolongs her life with sun orchid elixirs that cost enough to feed an entire city. Back in our caves, everyone is equally poor, and if one person starves, the whole tribe starves. We don't abandon our own in times of trouble. That's the power of a tribe. The laws of the surface are made so that some get everything and others get nothing. I might just be a naive fool from the caves, but I don't understand how it's possible to have so much more and share so much less. Anyway, look who I'm talking to. You must know life on the surface much better than I do. I'd never leave a needy person in trouble. I've been given more than most, which means I'm now more able to help others. A fitting reply. Don't take my words as a reproach. I like grumbling as much as cracking jokes. Lann is obviously trying to muster a friendly smile, but it's an expression his face doesn't accommodate very naturally. So, Lann, I'd like to know more about you. Let me guess. Your first question is, can you wear a hat with your one horn? Am I right? You speak common much better than the rest of your tribe. You know, funnily enough, common isn't all that common underground, Lann says. But your observation is correct. I used to live on the surface with my parents for a while, and had a chance to learn a couple of things. The language, and the fact that every person who sees my scaly mug screams, "Demon!" and runs away. I don't know if you're interested, but my mom wasn't from an underground tribe. She was a smuggler, the kind that used the dungeons of Kenabres to secretly move and store goods. One time, two gangs couldn't agree on how to share a prime cut, got into a fight, and the winners threw the losers down a hole, dead and living alike. My dad went to check if the corpses had anything useful on them, and he found a girl from the surface, barely clinging to life. An incredible feeling sparked between them. Or maybe the girl just liked men with scales and a cat nose. That might be it. One way or another, he got her back on her feet, and he later even left his home caves. She left her smuggling behind, and they began an honest life together. That's the delightful story of how old Lann came into this world. The next chapter, however. My family and I never stayed in one place for long. We lived sometimes on the surface, sometimes underground. We couldn't find a place to call home. Living in the caves was hard on my mom, and my dad's appearance raised too many questions in Mendev. They're at war against the demons, after all. In the end, my parents decided to stop making each other miserable and separated. My father and I returned to our tribe. I think the peasants screaming "demon" had something to do with it. Or maybe Dad just couldn't stand life without rat tail soup. I wouldn't rule out the possibility. Is that why you came with me? To see the surface again?
No, that wasn't it. I just don't have much patience for certain types of creatures. Demons, I mean. If they want to destroy Kenabres, I'll be on the side of the people they're attacking. Lann looks away.
Lann, you're my companion, and companions should trust each other. I'm counting on you to give me honest answers, not excuses.
Lann looks ashamed. I guess you're right. I shouldn't have been so evasive. It's just that some things are hard to talk about. My family, for example. My birth, hell take me, turned out to be a great misfortune for my parents. All because I'm relatively healthy. I'm the best thing that can come from a marriage between a cave-dwelling mongrel and anyone from the surface. A healthy child with the right number of hands and feet, no apparent defects, no missing organs or other problems. They saw hope in me, so risked having more children. They thought it would somehow be all right.
A growl edges into Lann's voice. I could have had 4 brothers. The first was born 2 years after me and died 3 years later. He didn't have a nose, nothing even remotely resembling one. He could only breathe through his mouth. Mom and Dad were afraid to take their eyes off him for fear he'd choke and suffocate on something. But in the end, it was his weak heart that killed him. Then there was another pregnancy and birth. I pretended I was sleeping, but snuck out of my bedroom and listened under the door. All those hours. It was very strange, but I never heard the newborn screaming. Mom moaning, yes. The priests praying. Then I dared to open the door a little and look inside. The priest stood there, very pale. One of them was holding something, a small object that fit in his palm. He asked, "Do you know what this is?" And the other said, "I think it's a head." Lann stops. Enough. You don't have to keep going if this hurts you. Hell no. I started to tell you, and I'll make it to the end. You wanted to know why I followed you to the surface? Well, here's the reason. Lann pauses, exhales, and continues in a steadier voice. It turned out that this time Mom was expecting triplets. The first of the babies was born in pieces, and the 2 others didn't live long enough to draw their first breath. About 3 weeks later, my father took me to the caves. He didn't want to leave. I could see it in his face. But I think my mom and he decided it together. The curse my people have carried since the first crusade stood between them, not to mention the 4 dead babies. And old age was rapidly taking its toll on my father. After we returned to the cave, he only lived another 4 years. So, if you're asking me why I decided to go up with you to the surface and join the Crusaders, well, the answer is, I've always wanted to. I was afraid to leave my tribe, but it always haunted me that I'd die in a world where 4 crusades could do nothing to stop the beasts from the abyss, and the number of victims kept growing. I want to change that, or at least try to. And if changing things is too much to ask, then at least I get a little revenge. The ones who are behind the world wound owe me a great debt. The lives of 4 brothers, all my mother's tears, my father's broken heart. It's a lot. It's so much that killing a couple of demons won't do it for me. I want to do something real, and I'm ready to pay any price. Call it my personal crusade if you like. Lann gives you a slanted grin. I used to think that things would be better if I'd never been born, but now I think I was born for this, to settle the score. Wow, that got shockingly dark. Much grimmer than I was expecting. But it was very compelling, and it does explain a few things, including Lann's lawful neutral alignment, I think, which is something I was puzzled by, because he acts like a character you'd expect to be good aligned. But in truth, he is actually wholly dedicated to avenging the mongrelmen against the demons for every perceived slight and injury they've suffered at their hands over the past centuries. And I do get the impression he would do some shockingly evil stuff to accomplish that goal if he thought it would work. He wants to make a difference. I can appreciate that. Why didn't you go up and join the Crusaders before? I couldn't just abandon my tribe. I'm their best hunter. They'll have it much harder without me. But now that the demons have nearly destroyed Kenabres, and the caves almost collapsed on their heads, sitting and waiting it out just wasn't an option anymore. Anyway, I'm more useful up here than I am down there. Plus, the chief let me go, which means my debt to the tribe has been paid. Yep, there's that lawful neutral again. Would you like to find your mother? No. The word flies from Lann's mouth faster than an arrow. Then, after a pause, he continues. I don't want to meet her, not because I feel any resentment. It's just that she's a half-elf. She's barely got her first gray hair, and I'll be a ramshackle old man. She's buried enough children. There's no need to make her witness the death of another one. I hope you understand. Your parents' love didn't survive hardship, but that doesn't mean the same thing will happen to you. What if you find true love, someone who won't leave you no matter what? And break my beloved's heart when I die in her arms 5 years later? That's a fine thing to do to the person you love. Then again, there's a chance I'll inspire some tragic bard to write a tearful ballad. I am very sorry. Truly. Lann smiles, this time sadly. Well then, I'm very lucky. I met someone who not only helped me choose the right path, but is happy to listen to my whining. Thank you for sharing, Lann. Thanks for listening. Mongrels' lives are short, but you don't look like you're getting old or dying. How old are you? Lann chuckles. I'm as old as I look, no surprises there. But remember Sol? He is 10 years older than me. I remember him a fearless warrior. I watched him turn into an old man, day after day. Him and my father. It happens very quickly. First, you miss a shot because you don't see a target as clearly as you used to. You think it's because your eyes are tired. You tell yourself it'll get better tomorrow. Then you notice trouble breathing. Rocks become harder to climb. Lann clenches and unclenches his human fist. Your fingers stop bending. You have to tie your sword to your hand. You can't even tie your greaves without help. Sometimes you wash your face in a stream, and you see a gray-haired, wrinkled old man, whom you don't recognize. And in the end, some cave beast outruns you. Lann takes a breath. Father kept diaries, marking all the signs. And I saw it too. The last year I had to help him get out of bed, get dressed, remind him to eat. Sometimes he forgot my name. I told him that we should have stayed on the surface. And he joked that a crusader shouldn't deceive a goddess. He meant Pharasma. Every morning I wake up and check how I feel. There are no signs yet. But I don't have much time, I know that. I need to do something useful before I forget why I came here. I want to talk about Wendoag. Are you sure? Lann sighs. All right. Tell me about your connection to Wendoag. We had many things in common. Lann turns the nonchalant reptile half of his face to you. We grew up together, trained together. She was the chief's daughter. She was groomed to be the best all her life. And then I came along. We rivaled but saved each other from trouble. I've always wanted heroics, sometimes silly,
and Wendu liked to roam unexplored corridors, find new caves, make maps. She wanted to become a great hunter who went through the entire labyrinth. But she became... Oh, wow, okay. Sore subject, I guess. Oh yeah, and now he won't talk about it again. Interesting. I like the little touch in the descriptive text about how he turned his lizard face to us when he was talking about something he didn't want to show emotion on. Also, he may have done me a favor, because I just glanced at the clock and I realized we're coming up on the hour mark, which certainly explains why my throat is getting so worn down. I've got to say, though, I have really been getting into this, which of course is why I lost track of time. I meant to hit the pause button like 20 minutes ago. But yeah, the whole reason I got into Kingmaker is because of these great interwoven sort of dialogue and narrative fragments that Owlcat manages to put together, and I feel like they've really pulled it off here as well. We're barely into the game, and I am fascinated with a lot of what we are seeing. Character motivations, characters keeping secrets from us, interwoven lore and plot points. There's a lot of stuff in there that you could put under a microscope and tie together into this giant, complex knot. And that is the sort of thing I really love digging through. And I mean, it's a good RPG too, you know. That's cool. But RPGs are a dime a dozen. A game with really intriguing lore, the kind that sinks its hooks into you. Those are rare. Anyway, yeah, he's got way too much dialogue left. I was really hoping we'd get through all of this today, but my throat just won't be able to handle much more. So, I'll tell you what. We're going to hit the pause button for now, and we will pick up here next time. We'll knock out the other half of Lann's dialogue. We'll have a chat with Seela, get to know her. Then we just have to tie some loose ends with Irabeth, I think, and Staunton's brother outside. That'll also give me time to take a look at our level up options, figure out what we're going to do there. And then I figure by the halfway to 2/3 mark of next episode, we'll be ready to head out. Oh, and for those of you who are worried we didn't make any progress today, I would actually beg to differ. I didn't keep strict track, but I believe we picked up 8 quests, 1,000 gold pieces, and a level up. So, not too shabby. At any rate, let's go ahead and hit that pause button, and we will pick up here next time, as we complete the tour of Defender's Heart, and finally get back to adventuring. See you then. Oh, and remember, although I do love playing Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous, you can find out more about the game by visiting the official website, the official YouTube and Twitch channels, the official social media links, or the official store pages. As always, links are in the description.